Hello, my name is Patrycja Rozwora, and you're listening to Kitchen Conversations. This podcast aims to open up the mysterious and vague Eastern Bloc to a broader international audience. For each episode, I'm inviting one artist or researcher, and together we explore their relation, interest, and urgency to create within the framework of the post-Soviet sphere. For the last episode of Kitchen Conversation this year, I invited Szymon Adamczak, an artist, writer and dramaturg working with theater and performance, originally from Poland, Poznań, and today based in Amsterdam. Szymon studied history and philosophy at the University of Poznań and graduated from Das Theater in Amsterdam. He also worked as a dramaturg and programmer of Stary Teatr in Kraków. Szymon is currently preoccupied with fostering an artistic practice within HIV-AIDS field and its cultural, artistic and social-political legacy of the past decades. Today, we will mainly speak about his performance and ongoing song and the research platform Polskie EIDS that he is conducting as part of his residency in Biennale Warszawa. Please welcome Szymon Adamczak. Welcome, Szymon. I'm very happy that we met here in my house. And
it's a pleasure.
really meet because we met once, I think, in my graduation show. And now we can finally talk. I think back then we didn't talk much, no? Just hi, I'm also from Poland. How are you? This is my graduation. So I'm happy that we can meet. And also because my two last conversations were on Zoom.
Okay.
So that's also nice to, still with weird distance, but it's nice to do it live. And I wanted to start with a question. When people ask you, what do you do in life? What do you usually answer?
Oh my, that's a great question, actually. I often just start saying, hey, I'm just doing things. I'm just doing things. Of course, these days I would call myself an artist, that I work as an artist. But for a long time, I wasn't, because I was self-taught. And only 2 years ago, I graduated from actual art academy, or I have MA, right? So now I can say I have a papers that can say that I'm
officially. If someone checks, you're an artist.
Yeah, theater maker would be on a paper. I figured it in past years that, for example, I'm very much satisfied if I do, let's say, a singular individual project by myself, maybe every year and a half or two. Otherwise, I prefer to really be with people, learn from them, collaborate with them, enable some of them, stop some of them as well. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
And so on. So this has been my background, actually, to work in a collective as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so back in Poland, you did history and philosophy, right? That was your study.
So I was studying at this academic this kind of program for liberal arts program. So it was in Polish. It's called MISZ.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask because it's quite a American study program, no? Liberal arts. I think it comes from the US.
Yeah, it has, and on the one hand has quite strong US vibes, and the other one, it comes back down to the Renaissance, I think.
Okay.
Or it comes people back then a university or academia, I think, was way more interdisciplinary from the definition. We have these days it's way more specialized, I think. But anyway, this program was, what was this program about is simply that you are, as a student, allowed to select from the offer of the university. So you go through what the humanities have to offer, and you can build your own program. So I had, and you also have a mentor. I had two during my studies. And yeah, so I was combining things. So like my in a way majors were history of art and philosophy, and especially contemporary philosophy, and theater, like theater studies.
All right. And that was in Poznań, right?
Yes, this was in Poznań.
Are you from Poznań?
Yeah, it's my hometown.
And then you worked in Stary Teatr in Kraków, right? That was you were fully like involved there. You were like doing the programming and dramaturgy.
Yes. So before like I was studying in Poznań, and then I a bit dropped my studies, started to follow the theater and performance direction. I had this collective that I was working with friends, and I started also to self-produce some work, and I was able to. I learned to like make it circulate, like to I kind of learned this more institutional way of production, understanding also what is in a way expected of artists, and so on. So I was like for quite a time following these two paths. One that would be artistic, and second would be like institutional, curatorial, and this is how I ended up at the National Theatre. It's a National Star Theatre.
Okay, it's National Theatre in Kraków. Mm-hmm,
and I was really young. I was 25, and I really smile when I think of it, because I think it was a really one of a kind opportunity. Like it's very rare for people this age to work for such a place, unless you are a very talented actor or actress. But yeah, I was lucky to be invited to join the team, because a curator I was collaborating with, she was someone who was. We're still in touch, and we still work actually these days in a different theater. But it's just a really like a long relationship where I was introduced also thanks to this person to the new tendencies in performing arts. And I was always also coming from Poznań, where we have a really amazing Malta festival. So yes, I was always like, on the one hand, I really was a theater kid. I really been going around the country as a teenager, following like new performances by Pawlikowski, Lupa, Klata, or whatever, and just I become part of I don't know, people who follow the scene. But at the same time, I had a very I had this window open. I already knew how things can be different. How can things be made differently? How people from different parts of the world conceive performance, dance. So on the one hand, I was fluent in the world of dramatic theater, text, actors, strong directing personalities. But at the same time, I was already introduced to more collective work, more democratic work. Political too. This is also how I have been introduced, like how I started to work in theater in the first place with a friend. We have actually made the first work that we've done together. His name is Michał Kmiecik. It's a long and old story, but it was really fun that we applied for like a young people opportunity in a theater at Warsaw, and we were really both into Brecht, and so we thought like, okay, let's Brecht has this education pieces called the Lehrstück. So there is a Ja-Sager and Nein-Sager, one that says yes and one that says no. And so we decided to juxtapose this, the narrative of this educational play with a set of comments that we have found under one of the first Polish viral videos in 2011 or 2010, like different era of YouTube, definitely. And this was just like older lady being very rude to a journalist, asking her for political views. I think she even beat him up a bit with a bag.
Of course.
And then, like, for us, it was, this was also this moment that, like, we as society been also learning about different shades of hate speech. I was really, for us, it was really fascinating how under this, in a way, silly, stupid video, like how much of resentment, how much of hate, how much of aggression, how much of all this kind of ugly things that anonymity in the internet can procure. So we just made a mashup in the form of a concert, and that was it. We, didn't really know how to work with actors. We just had some ideas. Of course, we've seen a lot of theater before, and this is how it started. And then it was, I think, nicely received. So then we made together. Also from his initiative, we made the performance a play that was discussing Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, but through the perspective of housing crisis. So that, like,
in Poland, also,
in Poland,
right?
yeah, Raskolnikov was a young student that kills the grandma because he needs housing and and stuff. So this was like, now, of course, I have would have way more language to describe all of it than I have now, like precarity, and which is so obvious for many of us these days as a concept. Back then, I don't think so, but this was something that I think many people also intuitively knew anyway, like that. This is also why I was working with a collective with friends. We were like, okay, how can we become someone? Who will give us job? I think we were already this generation to learn that we have to invent our jobs.
For sure, yeah.
Exactly. So this was also, I think, this kind of line of thought, and this was like also there was a really interesting flirt and collaboration with anarchists movement. This was also one of the scenes that we done was very closely inspired by occupation of Prasowy Bar. There was a thing that a group of anarchists from a legendary squad at Wilcza was still a very, very, very important place on the map of Warsaw.
That is in Warsaw.
In Warsaw, yeah. I think it was them. No, I think it was on Wilcza Street. Yes. So one of these milk bars, this Polish bar mleczny, have been closed, and so they did this impromptu, a bit situation where they reopened the bar and started to serve meals, and the police came, and there was like a fight all over it, and it was a really interesting moment. So this was my entrance to through this kind of political notion of theater. And I think at this very time also, political theater was also a very much thing in Poland. Of course, people were looking up a bit to the German scenes, German theater, but at the same time, the Euro 2012 was coming. There was Poland, just entered EU several years back. There was civic platform in power and not law and justice. It was a bit different different time, basically. So, and different things were possible at the time, and different things that was discussed at the time. But anyway, coming back, yeah. Thanks to having this dual citizenship in a way in the world of theater and more internationally understood performing arts, this is how I found myself in the National Theater, and this was quite a ride. This was quite a ride. I was working there for 2 years. And the first year was quite difficult for me. I moved there. I remember before moving there, I was really broke. I was quite broke. This was one thing. And I was broke and I already got invitation or got accepted to the school in Amsterdam. So I also So I kind of started this new job immediately, knowing that there is a kind of
something else waiting for you.
Something else that is important for me, and this was a very strong thing. To on the one hand, the decision: do you want to work on your own thing, on your own practice? Do you want? I also wanted to learn who can I become as an artist. And I never did a school in Poland, any art school. And somehow, I was working in a place that half of the people been teaching at the theater school there. And I had, no theater actual background except of professional experience. So this was also quite interesting. But no, it was an interesting time for me.
Super nice. But yet you decided to move, right? At some point. So you came to Amsterdam. When was that?
Yeah, so I came to Amsterdam in 2016, and this was the moment that I think I already gained the trust of the artistic director, Jan, and I really liked that he understood that I should finish. I should do education like that. That this is really important for me as a young person, even if I have this nice job here. But yeah, I'm young. I really should go. I really should do it. And this was, already a Law and Justice was in power. So, and this was the last season. Mm-hmm. So I got an okay to go to Amsterdam and start my studies. And I was negotiating between the school and the theater, my schedule. It was a very peculiar experience, of course.
So you still continued working?
So I was continuing working. I was coming back each 6 to 7 weeks.
All right.
But we made sure that before the season started, we really planned it well. So a lot of work, kind of program work and concept work, what the season should be about.
Was done before. And I think now when I think it, that the last season was called "This Is Not the End." Not sure, but this theater was one of the after theater in Wrocław was one of the first institutions who were caught up in right-wing cultural battle. The Jan lost the competition in for the director seat in the next year. It was politically charged decision, of course, who would get this place. They gave the director seat to someone who have not been, let's say, neither acclaimed by the professional community, because this was the theater that big personalities of theater would be running, people who also can really lead the team of these actors and really propose certain quality, and someone completely from, let's say, different background got it, which was very, very troubling, and then that this theater was in crisis for it's still in a way in crisis. It was in crisis for 3 years. Now there's someone new again, but a lot of privately motivated businesses, kind of people's a bit, post-Soviet stuff. You kind of see the certain set of relationships, family bonds of people who've been working there for decades and had
some people had lots to lose, some people had lots to win. I was just, like one of the latest bricks in a very old wall, so it was easy to leave in a way.
Yeah.
But for many people, it has been whole life. So it's very like...
So quite a sad moment also to...
A sad moment, but also just like... I've learned a lot about people and about myself, about the situation of a crisis in a way, of changes, politically motivated changes, how people can go different directions than you expect them to be. And then you also see who have been your ally in the first place, who have never been your ally, actually.
Definitely, yeah.
And so on. So this was but this is why when the new director was coming, for me it was clear that this will not be a place where anyone will care for my growth as well as a employee or as an artist. So what I've done, I was just like, the end of August, I packed my things, deleted my emails, and left an empty desk,
Off
if I was never there.
And you moved to Amsterdam.
And then I, in a way, returned to Amsterdam because so last year of theater was the first year of studies. And this was very difficult for me to combine those at the end. I was very unhappy with the way that the work at the end of the first year was received. Now I of course I'm very well aware why, because I just didn't have much time to go for it. I've been doing it very rushed, and that just was very also another learning exercise that like if you really in school like this, especially like DAS was. You really have to dedicate yourself to it. You really have to. Like this is one of like a kind opportunities in your life where you can kind of hide from the market a bit, from many other things, and really just grow. So this was something that I couldn't really have in the first year because I was working at the same time.
Too busy with
everything. So yeah, this I really took it to my heart, and like I really spent the second year fully committed to working on the performance. And then also HIV happened, so this for me a bit a life-turning moment. That like shit, I lost job, I have HIV, I have no insurance. What's going on? What should I do?
But you were in Amsterdam.
I was in Amsterdam already.
Saved you, can I say that this way? That like living here is, I guess, way better than living in Poland in that case? Or
not sure. In a way, this was definitely a point of no return. In a way, for me, I was like, okay. I remember myself like being really vulnerable and being really. It was just difficult, to come. I'm coming definitely from a working class family context, and all this kind of living in a foreign country, doing things like this. It's very not obvious. So like I really had to support myself in most of my life in a way. So I was like, shit, like, will I be able to make it through? Will I be able to complete this school? I've, really not only wanted this, but I really like worked years in order to be here. And now like this, I can just drop out. So, but of course, this was just also very much of like hey man, you have to have a plan. Wake up, do things, like you will get through this. So this is also what this whole situation ignited. I was just going through this.
And your practice really turned in a very specific direction, right?
Yes.
I think since that moment when you got diagnosed.
Yes. This is... in a way, I was already prepared for this, what happened also being in this setup where among my colleagues who were, you know, people from different parts of the world from different cultural backgrounds, and all of us appear in Amsterdam with, you know, years of experiences in many forms of art, and the context is disappeared. You know, the context we've been usually operating, the people we knew, the collaborators we have, the audience we present to, they are gone. It's just, you know, fancy art school. You know, of course, with a nice tradition and stuff. But for some of us, definitely it was really like, not a shock maybe, but definitely it was a new reality that really demanded a lot of us to understand it. But also we all been in effort to, you know, explain ourselves to and make ourselves known to other people. But this is also this moment, right? When you migrate and you kind of you just change because you using a different language, you phrase yourself differently, you're becoming someone else than you were. That's as simple as that.
Definitely, yeah.
So this is why I've already been exploring a bit of topics and things that have been very close to me, like a bipolar depression that is in my family, certain kind of political implication of it. You know, so I was already digging, let's say, within myself, within my close kind of circle. I was distancing myself to Poland. I started to see, of course, Poland in a different light, myself in a different light. So this is how also HIV found me. I was very much in period of searching, searching of who can I become and so on. But HIV was also in a way grounding me a lot. It was like, okay, man, okay, Szymon, you are HIV positive person. It's a strong identification, and this was also how this whole journey was also started. I just wanted to understand, okay, so now I'm a person with HIV. What does it mean? What does it mean to be HIV positive? Like, does anything else from my background, that I'm Polish, that I'm gay, or today I would rather say more queer than gay. It's also interesting how this also is changing. Like what is this body capable of? What this body can do or cannot do? Do I feel comfortable with this body? And what is my whiteness, maleness have to do with it too? So all of this, you know, political concepts, or just all those concepts started to be more present and been usually, and HIV in a way as a placeholder was a prism that I could look at myself more. So it was, that's why it also, I think, I started also to understand it as a sort of a companion, as a sort of a companionship that you have, that there's you and there's a virus and you're together in a certain kind of relationship. And this is how it started.
Mm-hmm. That's what your work is all about, right? The ongoing song about this connection and this relation and starting to kind of understand each other and live with each other in some kind of symbiosis.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah. This is definitely like an account of certain process of becoming, understanding, growing. There's some understanding of it that, what kind of entanglement I'm finding myself in. What is this relationality all about? And I'm very happy that also this work definitely captures a certain moment of I would definitely say it as a, like, becoming HIV positive, because of course from, like, let's say, medical or / scientific point of view, you are HIV positive because the virus is in your system. But I find it also a whole psychological and societal thing also to also acknowledge this position of being HIV positive. So like what kind of rights I maybe not have, that I have to have insurance. I have to build my life so I can have insurance. And maybe then I will, not go to a certain country because, I might be not welcome. And of course, I'm a white guy in Western Europe. Like after all, it's easier for me. There are people who have not access to medication. So at the same time, you also really see yourself among all those millions of people who have HIV before you and will have after you. So you're you're within it. You're somewhere in this landscape of experiences, and you have, of course, a particular one. But there's just so many that you're learning when you were getting to know people and different people with HIV and so on. So yeah.
Maybe here it's a good moment to also note that I also don't know much about HIV and AIDS. And actually, the most I learned was in preparation for this talk. So I also take it as a educational moment for myself, and I think for a lot of people who are not so informed. And I think it really HIV, I think, existed somewhere in the kind of common understanding in the 80s and 90s as a epidemic. Yeah, can I say that? And then it kind of disappeared from the public conversation, right? But it's really not like this. And I think that's why it's really nice to talk about it. And I really love that you talk about it through art and that you're so open also to talk about it and to answer questions. Because I think there's also a lot of misconceptions about what it is, what virus it is. And
True.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some kind of misconceptions or what people usually imagine it is and what it really is? And
it's very, 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 very specific that, historically, especially the minorities have been, addressed that they are the carriers of HIV. That this is their problem. Like, this is the thing that the straight majority, let's say, would
assume things.
But this is also it, that the HIV as the pandemic of HIV, because we are still in a pandemic of HIV, not only in Corona, that it has been also changing a lot. And this is what we know today, that this, of course, have certain historical implication, has, the crisis of AIDS in the 80s in the 90s, before the medication that was working was really immense. So many people's lives it claimed, but it has, also became very much a problem of everyone, or not only of minorities and colored communities of color, but of everyone basically. But this is it. That so what happened with HIV and AIDS? It's also interesting if we look at biotechnological innovations, right? So in 1996 we have a functioning medication, right, that saves lives. So this is the question, who will get it first, who will have access to this medication. And this is also, of course, the moment that we see more and more the way that neoliberalism is changing our life. So what happened with HIV, that the global north has access to treatment, and there is certain burnout of activism that happens in this time as well. Definitely, it's the certain goal has been achieved in a way. We have something that will save many lives, but it's not also true that activism has stopped. So many people continuously been working through this time and are working till today. But to simplify it, yeah, this is this moment that after 96, there is some sort of a silence that is happening, and a friend of mine, and someone I really admire as a HIV thinker, Ted Care from New York, has coined some understanding of it as that, of course, very much relevant to US, but that the 80s as the first silence, that the majority, the political power is not replying, is indifferent. The second silence, it being the period after 96, where HIV and AIDS disappears from the public conversations, in a way disappears from a community level, because it has become individualized. It's my problem. If I'm sick, I need to get care. It's not like we are all in this together. It's less of us in this together, definitely. Mm-hmm. This is what happened. And then from 2008 and further until maybe today, almost till today, Ted calls this past decade an AIDS crisis revisitation, that we revisit there's a cultural effort, or effort in production of culture that not only disseminates information about the AIDS crisis, but try to reapproach it to see how, it's not only white gay men, right? It's so many other people whose lives have been claimed by the epidemic, who mattered and whose voice there was no space for this voice.
Wasn't heard enough.
It wasn't heard enough. And one of the interesting example could be also the show Pose, right? I don't know if you saw that.
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah. That, there are reenactments of ACT UP actions made by performers who would rather not be, who were not there back then in the 90s. So they were imagined who's missing in this collective. But this is also very important that this past decade also allowed for a certain kind of distance to really see the epidemic or the pandemic of HIV as a really large event, in a way a hyper object, one would say, or just something so large and so changing so many lives, changing the way we see science, changing the relationships between patients and doctors, between families. It's just such a huge event that has happened. And we see it in a way now with so clearly with the emergence of coronavirus, right? How a virus can really reshape the world.
Definitely. And now coming back again to your practice as an artist, I would like to ask you some questions about your video, Sugar for the Pill. Mm-hmm. You were showing it in an exhibition in Poznań, but it was recorded in 2017, so some years ago. And it was a very private way of filming, just shot by your partner, I think, right? Recording the moment of you taking the first HIV medication. I thought it was very beautiful because it was really not staged. I think it was just recording the moment for yourself and I think for your partner. And I wanted to ask you if you saw this video as an artwork. Was it just for your archive? What was the intention of it? And
to clarify first, so it's the person who's there is not my partner. It's a lover who I found myself entangled with, me, my partner, and him. And this was someone who is himself HIV positive, and this was I have been really lucky to have support and support in this initiation in a way by a fellow HIV positive person. But this video has been rather a private effort in a way. It was just a moment to document this very symbolic rite of passage, because once you take this medication, you shall never stop taking it. So in a way, this is a confirmation for you, and like, yeah, this is it. This is how it's going to be from now on. So, of course, I made it a bit melodramatic, maybe.
There was a cookie, there was some vodka involved.
Yeah, it was a ceremony, and I think it was
Ritual.
for me was in very much this time, and this is also something that I really carry with me. You know that something important and something big is happening in your life, and I just wanted to find a right way of being present to this. That's why I thought it's like, let's make a ceremony, let's make a little celebration, let's remember this, basically, like, because I was at this time struggling a lot with this. This people saying, or like voices I've heard, yeah, like, it's just one pill, right? You just, this whole HIV thing is just taking a pill a day. Problem is, rendered unimportant. Not that like one pill a day takes a problem away, huh? I'm like, no, but this pill means so much, like so much of information, cultural, societal, and whatever information is behind this pill. So this is it. This is why I did it, and it was more of a private archive, and it was a bit impromptu. It was in a way, of course, a conscious decision to do it, because this was also the moment I started to work on the performance, and I was documenting a lot of very mundane things as well. Like I have documentation of my first visits to the hospital, of my male nurse who was 2 meters 5 centimeters tall, and
typical Dutch.
Typical Dutch, lovely person. I hope he's well. And yeah, but this was over the first year of making also ongoing song of almost a year of working on this performance and going through this process. I've made several thousands of pictures, many of myself. I was really like, trying to document what's happening, what's missing. And this is also it that, it's not like my infection would progress. It's other way around. Like my infection is stopped and kind of controlled. I'm becoming undetectable. I'm not developing lesions. I'm not. My body's not decaying. I'm not going into dementia. Like, of course, this would not happen so fast. It would be like a longer process. But it's rather a way towards your betterment. But yeah, this frantic, almost like subconscious need to document everything that's going around you to see if you're really present. Who's this person? Is it me? It's a really interesting process, very subconscious process, and yeah. So this video was something that was not, of course, originally meant to be presented as artwork, but this was with this video first. I was communicating with people, so by showing this video to my colleagues at school, this is how I told them I'm HIV positive.
Through this video. So you didn't say it, but you showed the work.
And I also offered them cookies and vodka. And this was happening. This was really just happening. I was like, okay, I did it. I have to present something in 2 weeks in school. Okay, I have it.
All right. So like so for 1 year, you said you were kind of documenting your everyday. And then from all this material, you started working on one performance piece and the ongoing song. And could you, like, if people ask you what is it about, well, how do you define it? Because I think there is like a lot of reviews being written about it. I read also a lot, but I'm curious, like, what is it for you about, or what did it give you?
Something that, thank you. Something that I definitely, from a perspective of time, I think this was a therapeutic work for me. This was a challenge for myself as well. Like, I have not been trained to be on stage, and I find a way to be on stage with someone I also felt comfortable with.
Billy, right?
With
Your
Billy.
partner?
Yes, and this was also really...
Dance partner or performance partner?
Yeah, it's a partner on so many levels in this. Of course, he's not my life partner. He's not my boyfriend or something. But he has, like, only from a perspective of time, I can really appreciate the whole labor of care, of support and solidarity that this artist gave me. Not only he, I barely knew him when I invited him. I just liked him. I felt like he was a new student in school. I was like, oh, this guy is interesting. Like, he's also a bit weird. We are both a bit geeky. We wear shirts that are somehow similar. And, he's from US. He knows about Cantor. I was like, hey, man, like, do you want to be my HIV virus? Because I was just diagnosed. Like,
and he was saying yes from
course,
the start.
He was immediately up for it.
Intrigued.
And he was so ready and he was so available because he was also in school. This is why this relationship was so close. And he had been patient to see me struggle with something, being so slow sometimes or too fast with other things. So this is really a beautiful process, and I really enjoy the specific skill set that he has, like mathematics, acrobatics, attention work, physical work, this specific franticness and disposition that he has, and energy that he carries. I couldn't think of anybody else who in a way could signify HIV virus like he could. So for me, this work has become a lot through time as a document of friendship, as a way of taking risks, showing how people take risks, what kind of relationships they are. I was, in this performance, word HIV appears once. I often didn't even put it in the credits. Or maybe I should credit HIV, as a credit. This would be funny. We were also all the time discussing it. Like, he was very much so. My Billy, the performer, he was like, "You should really make sure this work is about HIV, because this work is about HIV." But this work is about HIV. There's so many other things that HIV is about, or life is about. So. Yeah, for me, this is this work is a certain kind of vehicle. This is a kind of work that I could play in 10 years again. I could totally revisit this work with this guy. This is what I love about this performance.
It's very special, yeah. That is like timeless.
That it really marks a certain moment of your life, and that you want to give to others. And I think the most reaffirming comments I got once after the show, I think it was actually in Poznan, a girl, like, I think she was like 20, in her early 20s, approached me, and she's like, she thanked me for this work, saying that now she understands what her friend went through. And this was, for me, was a wow.
At this point of our conversation, Szymon and I took a little break to get some fresh air. I invite you to do the same. Maybe have a walk, have a coffee, do some stretching, and we meet again for part 2 to hear more of the fascinating stories from Szymon Adamczak.